Hi, my name is Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So as you guys know, this is where we interview people that are just flat out crushing it in this business, and we show you the inside scoop into how multifamily investors are creating massive success in their businesses and also in their lives. And as always, I've got my co-host, who's the director of our massive action team for the Warrior Group on, Mark Nagy. Mark.
Hey, Rod. Good to be here for another one. I know we got the boot camp coming. This will probably go out after the boot camp, but
right.
Just getting prepared, man. 1,000 people coming next week in Orlando. So pumped for
Boom.
that. Yeah.
It'll be a blast. Well, we've got a very interesting gentleman on today. He's a warrior, kick-ass warrior named Barry Coppage. And Barry, it's kind of unique in that he came into the Warrior program with tremendous experience. I mean, he's done hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate development for family offices, and I'm not going to steal his thunder, but you know, he's designed and constructed thousands of apartment units, and so very excited to hear what he's been up to since he joined the Warrior program, and really why he joined to begin with that incredible experience. So welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you, man.
Ron, it's an honor and a privilege. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Well, listen, why don't you do a much better job than I just did in talking about who you are and you know, how you got into this exciting business, and give us a little background, because you've got, you know, a very, very significant background in this business. So take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, so I started in the trades when I was 17 years old. Started building houses when I was 24 years old. And so, you know, as you go through these things and you're learning, you realize kind of what the rungs on the ladder are. What's the next step? And I quickly realized when I was a home builder that the developer is the one that really makes the calls. So you know, that was always a goal for me. How do I get there? And in about the 07, 08 series, I had just started. I did a 10-unit townhouse development. It was just on the cusp of feeling like I had touched the rung of the ladder that I wanted, right? And then 08 came in and completely cleaned me out. We lost everything, and which was a blessing, you know, because there was a lot of lessons learned there. But you know, I went to school after that. I went to get a formal education. I just had a major street education.
Right.
So
right.
And there just was not anything going on in our industry. You know, I mean, it was completely dead.
It was dead. It was dead. Yeah.
On the table, dead. So. Went to school and got an accounting degree and operations management degree, and had come to the conclusion that I was going to be done with the construction world. I was going to become an accountant, and life was going to be peachy, right? Get through and graduate, and then I had to figure out. In the midst of going to school, we had our daughter, so you know, why do it easy, right? Do it while you're trying to do everything at one time, and so you know, I had a young child at home and a family. And like, how do you gonna figure out grad school, right? That doesn't come free. So you know, so I started I took some time off to figure it out. A friend of mine called me up and said, "Hey man, a friend of mine is framing apartments. He needs a superintendent to run his crews. You interested?" I was like, all right, I'll do it. Fell in love with it. You know, you get back on the job, smell the wood cutting, and you know. It's like that old girlfriend in high school you could never get over. It draws you right?
What a great analogy. Yeah. What a great analogy. I'll tell you, I've never had more fun than when I'm actually on a job site swinging a hammer. I'm horrible at it, but I freaking love it. Yeah, so please continue, brother.
Yeah. So it you know, the whole environment just kind of drew me back in, and then the pace of apartments, right, and the scale of it. And I knew, you know, going through school, I realized what to do different. I wasn't going to be in the for sale market again. I wanted to rent anything I ever touched again. I just wanted to rent it. I knew that part. Didn't know how, but that's what I wanted to do. And the other thing was scaling. I got to know how to scale it. I just can't do onesie twosies. How do you know, the scaling is the key. So like I said, I had an understanding of what I should be doing. I just needed to figure out how to get there. So I framed, I don't know, several thousand apartments. I think it was almost 1,500 apartments I framed. I was like, man, all right, this was a good enough lesson. Now I need to take the next step. So the opportunity came up with the family office, and I hired on with them. Quickly progressed from project manager all the way to the head of construction.
Wow.
So, and with them we did we were averaging about 100 million at any given time in construction. So
in new construction, apartment complexes, yes?
Yes, sir. Ground up.
Where at, brother? Where were you doing this? I forgot. I wanted to ask you that previously.
Yeah, coastal North and South Carolina.
Gotcha. Okay.
Wilmington to Charleston, pretty much.
Is that where you live in the Carolinas?
I live in Wilmington, North Carolina. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, please continue. So you went with this family office, and you're building hundreds of millions of dollars worth of apartment complexes. Then what?
Yeah. So, and life was good, right? We had a great environment, a great team, great system running. And then I had some health issues and had to end up having a kidney removed.
Wow.
And the family office was very good to me. They took care of me while I was out of work for 4 months.
Wow.
But I realized very quickly that I would have left my family in a lurch. I came close to dying while I was in the hospital, and I would have left them in a lurch. We weren't doing bad, but it wasn't where I wanted them to be if I had to leave. Right?
Sure.
So I was like, something's got to change. So we started, on my healing process, I started watching podcasts. I was like, I got to just get my brain going again and get invigorated and find out all the pieces that I need in order to create passive income, right? I didn't know necessarily what direction I want. I just know I needed more passive income.
Right.
So ironically, I found your podcast. Ironically,
and it was all downhill from there, man. Shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was just soaking up content, and so I had a notebook while I was watching all these things. I was sitting there and taking all these notes and books I need to read and other podcasts I need to listen to and people to look at, and I kept that book there. Well, I get back to work and life goes on, and then December 2021, you had your first live event because we were living through COVID.
Right.
And in Orlando. So I was like, You know what? I've been listening to Rod's podcast, been listening to all these things. Here's an opportunity to go to a live event, which was, we would have been excited just to go to the movies at that point, right? Because of
Right.
And so
now, we got our next event next week. I don't know if this is going to come out before or after. I like you say, it's Orlando. We got 1,000 people scheduled again. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
No, man, that's great. Well, and I think there was around 800 people at that event when we went down there, and then so when I was like, let's see what we can learn. So I went down there, got a VIP ticket, mind you, that's the best seat in the house, to go and listen. So, and then, I was very impressed with the whole, you didn't have just two people up there saying, oh, we learned apartments and we're doing so good now, right? I mean, you had person after person after person, and so that resonated with me. It's like, okay, there's something here, right? There's good knowledge here. And then being in the apartment business, all the management pieces and everything that you were speaking of was right out the playbook, right? I mean, so, I knew I was in the right place.
Oh, thank you.
And then when Eric Upchurch came on stage, I really resonated with his message and him as a human being. Steve Breton was another one that I really resonated with. Yeah, so when it came time during the event to become a warrior, I got up, went to the back of the room and signed up, and away we go.
Nice. Well, we're glad to have you, brother, because that's the beautiful thing about the warrior community is we bring all these different personalities and experience levels and different, types of people into the group, and you know, rising tide lifts all ships. And so you bring a wealth of knowledge on the construction side, the development side, and you know, we've got people that work in other asset classes and have experience in other aspects of the business, asset management, raising capital in a big way, and just lots of other things. So let me ask you this, Barry, why did you join? With all the experience that you have, why'd you join?
Because it was I saw the value in networking, right? I mean, I didn't really know what to expect when I went to the event, right? I didn't realize there was going to be 800 people there, right? I just had no idea. Was it 50, 100, or 800? Right. And like you say, there was all walks of life in the room, from every nationality, every trade, every whatever. And it was phenomenal to be in a room and to have everybody being like-minded, right? And everybody was very open to share knowledge or experiences, and the networking part to me really was attractive. So nice. not only that, but just the content that you give at that event. I mean, you throw out a pretty large playbook in 2 days, man. I mean, it's
3 days, 3 days,
or 3 days. I mean, you could go on
3 days.
You know, you could.
No, I couldn't, buddy. No, man. That third day, I'm dead, dude. By 4 o'clock Sunday, it's game over, man. It's freaking game over. Let me tell you. No, and it takes me a full week to recover. But thank you. Yes, I give it everything, man. I give you everything I possibly can, and then some. And that's why I'm wiped out for typically 10 days afterwards. But thank you.
But just knowing the value of the content and the possibility of growing a network, and the syndication piece on how to raise money. You know, that was another big piece that I needed to be able to expand and scale. I'm actually,
we got our warrior coaching call here in 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And that's what I'm training on this for those 2 hours is raising capital. It's the, is this week happens to be this week's topic on raising capital. So yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about that. What was that transition like from just being the contractor now to the investor and actually running the deal? You know, was it easy? Did you just do the same thing? And what are, I guess, the things that other team members have had to bring to the table that you needed to make that transition?
No, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, so it's very similar due diligence. You know, we had some existing units on the first deal that we did, and so you want to do all the things that Rod talks about in the program. You know, you want to run through all the books and do all your unit walks and make a very thorough list and make sure that the asset is what it is, right? That it functions and that it's truly what it is. So. But then on the development side, you know, we were fortunate enough that we were able to pick up the entitlements with the property. So we just had to clean up and verify what all those were in line, so that when we were able to close, that we could go to work, right? So.
So you actually bought a property that had existing units, and you built some more, correct? You doubled the size, if I recall.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was so it's a student housing project. It was 24 units with 72 beds, and we added 2 additional buildings identical to the other 2, and had another 72 beds. So now we've got 144 beds.
Nice. Nice.
Was that a deal? Did you go looking for that in particular? Did it come to you? How do you even find a deal like that just kind of perfectly matched your skill set?
Well, you know, it gets even more unique. The fortunate thing is that I helped build the first 2.
So, no kidding! Wow.
So I knew
crazy.
I knew the ownership team, and we, you know, I approached them and went from there.
Love it. So, and now you're developing another 150 units. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've got several projects coming down the line. Some smaller ones. We've got 125 unit is one of the bigger ones, and everything in between. So yeah, we've roughly got a little over 150 units on the board over the next year and a half, 2 years
to build.
And, Yeah, to build ground up.
Nice. Well, so let me ask you this. You've got a ton of experience, obviously, on the development side, on the construction side, extraordinary experience. But, you're not unseasoned now on the whole investing side. You bought that asset. You went and talked to the seller. You knew who the seller was. This is really a blessing. What advice would you have for someone that, knows they want to get into this business but hasn't done anything yet?
Yeah, just go into your event. Right.
Well, okay. Well, thank you for that. I'll slip you a 20 for that one, but thank you. But yeah.
No, in all seriousness, if you're brand new to it, go to the event. Right. If you're thinking about it, just go, because
and if the event's already gone, by the way, guys, I'll have another virtual event January 6th and 7th. Okay. 2 days. It packs everything into 2 days. And it's complete. So thank you for that, though. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but quite honestly, that's where you'll get the tip of the iceberg, right? That's where you'll start to get that information that is good sound information. But maybe the more important piece of that is the networking. Yeah. If you're just new to it, you need to self-educate and just drink out of a fire hose, learn as much as you can, but then try to get into a group of people like the Warrior Group. Right. I mean, we have an in-state chat group that we're always talking back and forth. We have,
right.
and then all those other people that you meet, we're constantly keeping in touch and seeing what's going on in the marketplace. I mean, once you get yourself in that environment and around peers that are like-minded, you will grow.
Yeah. If you're interested in the Warrior Group, let me tell you how you check us out. You text the word CRUSH to 72345, and that's how you apply. And we'll check you out. You check us out. But that's the starting point. And I'm going to tell you, if you set up a call with us, you will leave that call better than when you got on it. I can promise you that, because we'll help you get lined out on your goals. And if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. No worries. But if it's not, or you don't want to check out the Warrior program, create that or find that in your local environment, because you need it. It's not just the knowledge. In fact, I tell my new students, it's more important for you to meet other warriors than it is for you to learn the business. That's how important the networking is. Would you agree with me on that, Barry?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if the live events pass, no worries. You do the virtual event, but then you've got to create that that environment, or find that environment in your local area where you can meet with other people in this business, or help, obviously check out the Warrior program, but if not, then go do that, because that is really, one of the biggest pieces.
And again, that's text CRUSH to 72345 if you want to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. I should have said it twice. CRUSH to 72345. Yep. And we will help you freaking crush it, baby.
Well, and Rod, I guess the third leg of that bar stool, right, is something that you talk a lot about, is the mindset.
Yeah.
Because learning something new that you may or may not have any idea of, learning new people, meeting new people, and then trying to apply all of it is going to be a daunting task.
Yeah.
So the mindset piece, trying to stay grounded and focused to your goals. Man, I can't say enough about that. And I'm a pretty task-minded person, and I still struggle with that every day myself. Right. So, you got to keep your head in the game, or it's just not going to happen.
No, it's why that's why the Warriors are so successful, Barry. I mean, we're pushing, I think, somewhere between 170 and 180,000 units, and I've been teaching for 5 years. Something I'm incredibly proud of, and it's mindset. That's why that's why my Warriors push through fear. They push through limiting beliefs. They get uncomfortable. They make it happen no matter what, because we spend so much time on it at the boot camps. I spend a ton of time on it at the boot camps, and of course in the Warrior training itself. And we've got high performance calls that are part of the training program, the Warrior program, to keep you focused on really what's most important, which is all of those things, those soft skills, your courage, your ability to influence, your relationships, your mission and purpose in life, stuff that's bigger than the real estate, but frankly, it's foundational to the real estate as well. And that's why, a program like ours is so successful. And can you go do it elsewhere? Sure, go do it elsewhere. But the point is, you need both pieces. It's not just the technical side. 80 to 90% of your success in anything is the mindset and the psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the real estate stuff we talk about on the show here. So,
well, Barry, speaking of mindset, I know you went through kind of health thing, and I'm sure that added some urgency, right, to your mindset and made you say, hey, I want to do something for my family. I want to go faster. And that probably helped. For people listening that obviously maybe haven't gone through something like that, what kind of questions would you recommend they maybe ask themselves to help them get in the right mindset to overcome that fear and start taking action outside of a health scare, obviously?
No, I mean, that's a great question. Well,
Yeah.
And be thankful if you don't have to go through that, right? And maybe a good place to be is to think that way. You know, if I were to get hit by a bus tomorrow and wiped off the face of the earth, what would happen? You know, who are your loved ones? What were your goals? What would you want to do different if you didn't have any more time? Like, what would you do if you were told you only had so much time? So, that's going to boil down to what's important. All right, now you know what's important. That's the fuel. That's the fuel that burns, right?
Yeah.
So now you know whenever you get in your dips and you go through hard times, it's your family, right? Is wanting to give them a better life, or to do traveling, or to give to, if you're, to give to organizations, or to give back to the community. What are those things that are important to you that you would do anything it would take to make it happen?
Yeah.
Right. And then that's where you start.
Oh, that's beautiful, brother. I just interviewed somebody here in my studio named Steve Rosenberg, and I will tell you, I literally teared up after I asked this question. I asked him, do you have any kids? And he just lost his 19-year-old son 6 months ago. Okay. And I'm like, oh, geez, why did I ask that question? But it led into something which was incredibly powerful. And he told me that because he had done what you're talking about, Barry, gone out there and created a life for himself where he could spend time with his son. This son, they did everything together. They rode motorcycles together. They went to Egypt. They jumped out. They dove with sharks. And he's got a foundation that's livelikejet.org, that talks about what this kid did. And I just donated $1,000 to it literally 30 minutes ago. But I was so moved by the story. But the point is, he was able to do that because he had created that life. So he had those memories. And we talked about this. Could you imagine how it would have been if you'd been focused like I was on freaking working and not spending enough time with my kids? The regret that you would have, but he has those memories. And I'm sorry, it's fresh on my mind because literally he just left 45 minutes ago. So I wanted to bring it up.
That's a great point, Ron, because I've been guilty of that myself, right? Before my daughter was born. That was a great thing. That was one of the best takeaways I had from the 08 series and getting reset. I think that was kind of my reset period, was you focus on really what matters. Right? Yeah. You're always busy. You're always doing something, but none of it mattered because it all went away. Right. Right. So when my daughter came around, I wasn't working 7 days a week. Right. I don't work 7 days a week now. If you got to do something, get it done. But, the focus is on trying to spend time with the family, and like you say, if you don't make these changes and get off the hamster wheel, you won't have the ability to take the time like the gentleman that you just spoke about, right? And to have those memories, the memories and the experiences are everything. Right.
That's what life's about, man. Life is about the memories. I mean, he said he was at the funeral and nobody talked about how many businesses he owned or how much money he made. He talked about the things they did. Yeah, it was a really powerful segment that was really emotional for me. And I can't even, there's no words for that type of a situation. It's unthinkable, but yeah.
So what were the missing pieces then for you, Barry? Obviously you're kind of doing the same thing, still new construction, but now again, you're obviously running the deal. What did you need from your team? Was it just money and the management side, and now you're doing the construction? What did you need from other team members to just help you bridge that gap?
If anything.
No. So look, at the end of the day, it always takes a team, right? Like you say, you say this all the time. It's a team sport, and by God, it is a team sport. So if you find the right people to be associated with, I was very fortunate to do to do this project with some fellow warriors that we just made a phenomenal team.
Well, they're extraordinary warriors, by the way. I mean, they're top shelf. I mean, you got the cream of the crop. We've got extraordinary. We've got 1,200 kick-ass warriors. Well, these are like in the top 200 or 300 of those because they're extraordinary. Yeah.
And we all came from different backgrounds, right?
Right.
But we all had the same mentality, the same drive, the same, family values. So, we clicked in very many ways, and that helped with the partnership. But the main thing from the business side of it that I took away from it is I had never done a syndication before. These guys had done several. So
Right.
it was very comforting to know that I was just kind of walked through this process. And you learn it, and we all had learning curves even through that. But
Right.
I feel like it was a lot less of a curve because I had people that already walked that walk, right? So that was huge to me, and so that was they kind of walked me into it, and then I helped walk them out of it by getting the project done. So we all very much did our own parts and pieces, and it took the whole team to make it work.
Love it.
And just to reach on the teamwork piece, student housing is very, very, very schedule oriented. If you don't meet the move-in date, you've lost it. The game is over.
Right.
So we had a very tight schedule. So with the GP team, we had a phenomenal team to put a good deal together. We structured it right. And then we put a phenomenal build team together. And I'm not saying that because I was a part of it. I'm saying that because from the person that was helping us clean the units and sweep the floors on the way out, all the way to the GP team. It took every human being on our team to make that happen. We built that project in 141 days.
Wow.
From the plumbing in the ground to the time we turned the keys over, 141 days. There's very few teams that can do that. And I don't know if I could do it again. I just know that I had the right team this time, right? And if it wasn't for everybody on our team, it wouldn't happen. So, going back to your comment, you've got to surround yourself with the right people. You can move mountains with the right people, And so that is probably the biggest takeaway I can give for you today is that you need to find the right team.
I want to circle back to motivation for a minute because, I just want to flag something you said. You had that life-changing moment where you almost lost your life and you're thinking, I've got my baby girl, I've got my wife, and what happens if I am gone? How do they, which is beautiful that's your motivation. And how old is your girl now?
This is we'll be missing your boot camp because of her birthday. You should have called me and rescheduled the right date.
Oh.
Yeah, but she's getting ready to turn 12 years old.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So obviously that's the why. Yes, that's the why. It's that baby girl. Yes. Love it. So are you building more student housing or multifamily or both?
No, the rest of the upcoming projects we have are market rate.
Market rate. Gotcha. So what's been the most challenging part of this transition for you? Okay, like you transitioned into our Warrior program. You're around some extraordinary people. You really are. I mean, there's no question the group is extraordinary. But what has been the most challenging? And I also want to ask you what's been the most rewarding.
Challenge. I mean, any of these projects are going to come with all kinds of
lots of hair, lots of challenges. Yeah.
So,
okay.
I guess the most part that I'm grateful for is that we were able to pre-plan and get around those things. And again, it comes back to the teamwork.
That speaks, I got to say something to you, buddy. That speaks to who you are. All you've done, you haven't taken the credit for this. All you've done is given credit to your team, which speaks to why you were such an incredible manager and leader and still are on the construction side. I just have to salute you, brother, because that's obvious. That's the case. So,
I appreciate that, honestly. But I think those are the challenges is just, just acclimating, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Just truly acclimating.
Pushing through the fear. I got to raise $1 million, $2 million, whatever it is. That's a little scary at first, the first time, right?
Yeah. Again, it's, in my team, the GP team kept asking me, how is it different for you this time? And I think they were always trying to me telling this big rosy story. And I said, guys, please don't take it as I'm not being appreciative of this opportunity, but It's no different than any other job. We got to get it done.
Yeah. What was the most rewarding? What was the most rewarding part?
The most rewarding part is we had a couple hurdles right at the very end, and we had the CO, and I turned the keys over 30 minutes before the first person moved in.
No, holy cow. By the way, the CO is the certificate of occupancy, guys. That's what you need to be able to allow somebody to move in. Holy cow, 30 minutes. Good God. That's cutting it close. Wow.
Yeah, me. So
I love it.
Just to know that I had that piece of paper in my hand, I drove back over to the project, and to start seeing the kids unpacking their cars and everybody looked so happy, and that was it. All right. That was worth it all right there.
You know, we're nearing the end, but I want to ask you something, because you are obviously extraordinary at building a team, and this is a team sport. So what sort of people do you align yourself with to be a success in this business? Talk about that first, just a minute, before we cut loose here. You know, how do you, what do you look for in team members? How do you gauge them? How do you, line them out, and then how do you hold them accountable? I know that's a lot. That's a big freaking question,
Sure.
but
So I mean, it's a process like anything else, just like any other relationship, right? It's kind of like an interview process. You're talking and
Right.
you're asking different questions, and you're trying to find out what makes them tick, what makes them drive. Do they have drive? Do they have the grit? And that's usually what draws me, is the grit and drive.
yeah,
Because as long as you have grit and drive, you can kind of fix about anything else, right?
Yep.
But it's when you have everything else and you just want to quit, or the person quits and they just become more dead weight, that's no go. So
right.
I think that's the biggest part, is just who they are as a person, and then I try to listen to what they say and understand what their strong points are. So what are they better at? What are they good at? What do they seem very knowledgeable about? So whether it's a trade person or another business associate, what can they bring to the table, and how can we complement each other, right? That's kind of the ranking, and for me, I guess it's more natural, because I'm rooting through vendors and doing all that all the time, right? So it's a constant process for me. But if you've never done it before, you're getting into it. That's the kind of thing, it's kind of like dating, right? You just need to ask the right questions, know what it is that you want or need, but also what can you give them to help them too, right? It's a give and take situation.
Nice.
Question.
With what you know now, if you went back and talked to your 20-year-old self, would you do anything differently?
Man, that's a great question, Rod. And I've often thought about that, right? Especially when the downturn happened, and I had the advantage of time, or to take the time to reflect and think about those things. And I would like to say I regularly do that now, right? It's always like a postmortem. What could we do better? How can we do it better, right?
Postmortem, good way to describe it.
So, I do that on every project, and I kind of do that in my own life. What can, this much time has passed, what can you do different? And I honestly don't know would I like different outcomes. Yes, I think everybody would, but I don't know that I would go back and change anything, because you don't know what the one thing was that might have made you stronger or gave you the knowledge that you need, or that I haven't even used yet. Right.
Yeah.
So if you don't go through trials and tribulations, and you don't go through growing periods, that's where you get your strength. That's where you get your knowledge base.
That's it.
So you've got to go through those things. If anybody ever just walks into this business and just knocks it clean out of the park and never has a problem and makes a ton of money and goes and lives on the beach for the rest of their life, God bless you.
And they write away on their unicorn, okay? Because it does not happen.
Yes, I don't know that. I honestly probably wouldn't change a thing, because I'm very happy with where I'm at today. So.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, even though, God, I was dumb enough to buy 2,000 houses instead of 2,000 apartment complexes. But, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have the knowledge base that I have now. I wouldn't have the experiences, the stresses, the failures, and all these things that we learn from. So I like your answer. Well, listen, brother, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and hopefully we'll see you at the Warrior event in November in Phoenix. Hopefully you'll make that, and it's because that's not going to be your daughter's birthday, but you've got a pretty good excuse for missing next week.
We'll miss next week, but I'm already booked and ready to go for November, and looking forward to it.
All right. Awesome. Well, it's great to
guys-
see you, brother.
Yes,
You
sir.
take care. Mark, I'll
see you
see you
guys.
later, bud.
So one other quick thing. We encounter so many people that are frankly frustrated. They're looking in the mirror and they're frustrated that they haven't been able to escape the rat race. They haven't been able to build cash flow to the point where they're able to have financial and time freedom with their families. And maybe they see other people buying real estate and creating, incredible cash flow, and they think, well, it's just scary. Buying apartments is intimidating. And I get it. See, that's why we created our Warrior Mentorship Program. They're our coaching students, and they've had extraordinary results. My students, I've been teaching about 5 years, and they own upwards of 140,000 units now that we know of, right? And we feel like it's just getting going. Now, we're looking to grow this group and really take it to the next level. And honestly believe that the greatest transfer of wealth could be upon us right now with this current economic environment. Everything's going on sale. So we're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework, really like a blueprint or a map, literally step by step. And then they're able to leverage our systems and our incredible network to raise money and equity, to find deals and close those deals and build partnerships, really nationwide. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more in our incredible network and take advantage of the unbelievable opportunities that are upon us, you can apply to my Warrior Mentorship Program by texting the word CRUSH to 72345, or you can go to mentorwithrod.com. And what we'll do is we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out and see if it's a fit. Now, again, you can go to mentorwithrod.com or text the word CRUSH to 72345 to apply, and we will speak soon.